This is a program for tokenizing strings. Well, just a basic tokenization where it gets more complicated, but for now, let's keep it simple. Okay, four score, and we take this the Gettysburg address here, and we're gonna take each word right here, excluding all the punctuation and whatever, and then and putting it into a list. It is the list of all the words in the text, one at a time. There are duplicate words, so we're not gonna worry about duplicates for now. So we take every word in the text one at a time and put it in the list. That's every word in there, all the way down to copy. Alexander Bliss copy. Okay, to do this, we first have the ASCII table, every letter in ASCII, every character in ASCII for with given a name. Okay, handle is the handle of the file that we're reading from. Current character is because we have multiple functions reading the file, so we need a current character to so that they can all synchronize with each other. Running is to make sure that we have a current character to read. So we haven't reached the end of the file yet. We read the file one character at a time, and when we reach the end, running will be 0. Buffer is the if the current word we are reading. We're reading one word at a time, so buffer holds the word. So we have +1, so we can include a null character, so we can print it. In a full version, this wouldn't be necessary. The +1 would be necessary, but here it's just a test, so we put a +1 just to make sure that we have a null character at the end. Okay, ASCII is numeral. Character is numeral. If it's between 0 and 9, then it's a numeral, then we return 1. Character is alpha. If it's an uppercase letter or a lowercase letter, then it's an alpha. Then we return 1. If it's an alphanumeric is if it's a numeral or it's an alpha, then then that makes it alphanumeric. That's gonna be important later. Okay, to read a character, we read a character from the file, just whatever the next character is. If it's the end of the file, if it's not the end of the file, then we set the current character to the character we just read and set running to 1. Running means that there is still a character to be read, and we return 1. Otherwise, we just set everything to 0 and return 0. We're gonna skip the string for now. Okay, handle. We open the file. Make sure we open the file for reading. Make sure it's open. Make sure it's open and read a character. So we always start by reading a character just to begin with, to make sure that there is a character to be read. Okay, while running means that that we currently have a character. If it's a character work once, I is just a counter, just to make sure that when we print the list, we have a number next to it. Okay, if the character is alpha, well, if the character is alpha, then we read a string. That's why we have current character instead of just reading the character directly. Because the reading string, if we read the character, then we have already read the character, but the character it needs to be part of the string, so we need some way to pass the character into read string. So it has to know that we are using the character that we already read, or it doesn't read it twice. Okay, while running here, if the character is alphanumeric, that means that although we don't have any words here that any numbers here that begins with any word that begins with a letter, it's allowed to have a number inside it, like string 1, string 2, so that this would still qualify as a string. So we have to make sure it's alphanumeric instead of just alpha. So we allow words that to contain letters. If we're checking for complete, we could put underscore here or something else. Anything that qualifies as a word, we'll put exceptions here just to make sure that it qualifies as a word. Here we just consider alphanumeric strings. Anything that begins with a letter and continues letter until we reach something that's not a letter. Like the word will right here is a word, but the space here is 1863 would not be a word. Okay, here we'll put inside the buffer just to make sure that we don't overflow the buffer. We'll put the character inside the current position and then add a 0 after it just so you can print. And then once we are done with everything else, read a character. Right now it doesn't matter, but on top of read string in next few functions, in next few modules, we're gonna put different things here. So as soon as we're done with something, we read a character and then exit. If we need to exit, every time we call a function, it has to read a character at the end. So just to make sure that a character is always in the buffer. Every time we use a character, we read a character just to make sure that the character is always in the current character. Well, that's complicated here. So we read everything. If we find a character, if we find a letter, we call read string, and then read string puts the whatever word we just read into the buffer, and we just print it. And then if it's not a character, then if it's a character, if it's a letter, we call read string. If it's not a letter, we call read character as a default. Any more complicated things, we would have more complicated things here, but for now, that's it. Just call f close when we're done, and we just delete everything. So that's the result. And that's it.